My story is sort of really tangentially connected to chicken. About 4 years ago, a very good friend of mine and I took off and we went to the Southern Hemisphere. We took off and we spent 6 months traveling. We spent 3 months traveling through New Zealand, and then we spent 3 months traveling through Australia. We did this through a program called, I don't know if any of you heard, Wolfing. Anybody? Yeah. Awesome thing. If you ever get a chance to do this. It stands for Willing Workers on Organic Farms. It's amazing. You can do it anywhere in the world. You work for people for a few hours a day. They give you food and housing, and then you get to go and spend the rest of the day exploring. Anyway, so we spent 3 months in New Zealand, and the thing is, we didn't realize, of the many things we didn't realize about New Zealand, almost everybody keeps chickens. Like, everybody keeps chickens. They're like pets. Not like in the house pets, but the way everybody here has a dog or a cat, like almost everybody had chooks, chickens. So every place we stayed pretty much, this was this leitmotif of like who had what kind of chicken. Though the story I wanted to tell was of the last place we stayed when we were staying in New Zealand. And it was the last night of the last day, the last night before the last day we stayed. We were in a small town called Karamea, which is on the western shore of the South Island. And this town is the very last stop on this road that you stop at before you go to there's a giant national park where people do this long, like several day trek through. We just so happened to be staying with these two people who decided to open an organic cafe in the middle of nowhere. Which sounds really cool, except the fact that it was like literally in the middle of nowhere, which it was kind of cool. All these woofers came in and we were cleaning it up and we were making food and we were doing all this stuff, and we were about a 20-minute from where we were about a 20-minute walk to this beach, which was like 5 minutes by car. And this beach was, again, if you can imagine, on the west coast of New Zealand. And after that, there's nothing but ocean. And the beach, as far as you can see, for as many kilometers either way that you look, it was just driftwood and beach and these incredible waves. And basically, like a couple of signs up in front saying, if you try to surf here, you will die. No uncertain terms. Like somebody told me in Ireland, they actually have signs where you go to cliffs and they say, past this point, you could die. And that's it. As opposed to America, where they have all this stuff. Same thing there. It just said, if you surf here, you'll probably die. Right. So this was a beach there, and every night, because we were on the west coast, every single night, the sunsets there were mind-blowing occasions. Because it's just acres of beach and beautiful and sunset. So of course, being on this group of people, I think we were easily the oldest, other than the people that owned the cafe, my friend and I. It was this whole troop of people, and we would all drive down pretty much every night with wine or whatever other substances we had, and just hang out there at the beach and watch the sun go down. So the very last night that we were there, they wanted to give my friend Amy and I, and they were like, oh, we want to invite me to dive Seedorf, walking in the beach, Seedorf. So we go down there, and there's this whole crowd of people, and we get down there to watch the sun go down and driftwood and this giant fire. And to set us off, they gave me a bottle of wine. They gave me a bottle of wine. We're all hanging out, and they get down to the beach first. I get my bottle of wine at the cafe. Get down to the beach. Everybody's partying, we're having a great time. I'm knocking back this bottle of wine. We're all just chatting, what have you. And according to Amy, who's not here to, contradict me, she said that it took me 10 minutes to drink this bottle of wine. I know it was more like at least 20 minutes to half an hour. But I knocked back this whole bottle of wine, plus they're passing stuff around. So then eventually, and this is the other thing you should know about New Zealand, if any of you are ever thinking of going there, I can only encourage you, you must go. It is the most beautiful place. But everybody in that country carries weed. Everybody in that country. I shit you not. It's like 2 subtropical islands where everything grows all the time. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's not big. You're like, oh, yeah, of course it is. So we're sitting there, I knock back a bottle of wine, then the pipe starts going around, and I take one, then it comes in, and another one that's great. We're for like 2 or 3, and I actually, I'm a major lightweight when it comes to any kind of mixing with any kind of anything. So at this point, I am in another universe. Now another thing to add is, the sun has now gone down, west coast of New Zealand, nothing, anything can see. And there's not a cloud in the sky, and it's a moonless night. Now, if you can imagine, more stars than your brain can possibly even imagine, and the ocean, and a fire, and there's weed, and there's alcohol. At this point, I'm so beyond fucked up, it's not even reasonable. And so at some point, I decided I'm going to walk down to the edge where the water is. Now, everybody's up here, they were all talking and partying, and I walk down, and I'm standing at the edge of the water's lapping at my toes, and I'm looking at the sky, and there's just literally more stars than you can count. And I just lose track of where the fuck I am and what I'm doing. And eventually my friend comes up and finds me and she says, you know, you really ought to come back to the fire, go all back to the fire. And I turn and I'm like, I understand why can't you? And I can still distinctly remember the waves catching like, I don't remember how to walk. I said, literally, say, I can't make the walking work. So eventually she leads me back like a child to the fire. I lay on the ground, I look at the stars, you look at the stars. We all decide to leave, and the quick wrap up of the story is we leave, and the people that are hosting us, it turns out that they are driving the giant, this giant Lincoln Continental car that we're all getting into, but they are as fucked up, if not more so than I am. But at this point, I have no way of saying, no, we can't get in your car, because we're terribly messed up. So we go to, we pile in the car, we all drive to this woman's house, not back to the place where we're staying, but to her house, which is about 2 miles away from where we're actually staying. We get there, get out of the car, they all go in the house because the woman we're staying with says, come on, let's get inside, we're going to potty on the big bowl. Now, Amy, my friend, had decided not to drink because she would be she's like, you know what? We really should go, no, it's potty. They try to get me in, I decide to stay in the car. I'm going to stay in my little box. If you've ever been in that kind of altered state, you know, staying in a little confined space is actually really comforting. So I stay in the car, they all go inside, and then I decide, I shouldn't be in this car anymore. I need to walk back to the place where we're staying. At 2 in the morning, in New Zealand, in a town in the middle of nowhere. So what does Dave do? Dave gets out of the car and decides, I'm going to figure this out. Make my way out and walk in. And I'm walking down this driveway, and the driveway's like, I swear to God, the driveway's like half a mile long. I'm walking and walking and walking. I find my way to the road, realize, okay, I know where I'm at, more or less. Make a right-hand turn to get me back. So I go out there, I'm walking down the road, and I decide that in the state of mind that I'm in, the best thing to do is to walk down the very dead center of the road. In the middle of the night, because if a car comes, I can jump off and hide in the ditch on the side of the road and they can't see me. So anyway, this beautiful night ends by me walking at least probably 3-4 kilometers back to the place where we're staying, finding my way into, going through a window, going back upstairs, going into bed, and going to sleep. Because that's what you do. And then and then of course my friend Amy tells me she comes out to find me because she was really concerned that I hadn't come in the house, and that she's probably, you know, she's like, oh, he's probably in the back seat sleeping. Just for the love of God, in the back seat sleeping. And I wasn't there. Anyway, they found me and everything turned out well, but the bottom line is, please, if you've ever thought of going to New Zealand, make the trip, spend the money, and go there. It's the most beautiful place in the whole wide world.